Ya Hussein, 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 Ajal, Ajal.
There are different ways of oppressing other people, and one of the other things that is revoltful to keep turning pages, so slowly you learn what the words say. Sometimes we say things to people to hurt them. Yes, by tongue we hurt them. You say something rude to people, you say disrespectful things, and you hurt them. And sometimes, how do you oppress people? With your eyes. Yes? You give a look to someone, like an anger. Who do you give that to? People weaker than you, isn't it? Will you ever give a bad look to someone who's stronger than you, bigger than you? Give a dirty look and he'll punch your face. Yes? You never do that, do you? You always give the dirty look to someone who is weaker than you. Because you want to oppress them and tell them by your eyes, like, don't mess with me or something like that, yes? This is extremely, again, discouraged, and the Holy Prophet says, do not sin with your eyes. Control your sight. If you're not in control of your sight, then the sight will control you. So do not give a dirty look to anyone. Do not give angerful. Do not give a lustful eye. None of those should be in control of your sight. In control of your sight. Ears, tongue, eyes. Kullu ulaika anhu mas'ula. The Holy Quran says, Allah will ask you about each one of these things. How did you use them? How did you use your ears? For knowledge, for listening to good things, or for listening to bad things. So use all of these things in positive way. You have so much potential. How much brain do we normally use, anyone? 10%. Come on, you must be a genius.
About 2%.
About 7, 6.5%, 7%. Some say 7%, and some say just a little bit, a little bit more than 7%. The people who we regard as genius, yes, this guy's a genius. How much more do they use of their brain than normal people? 1.5% more normally. Only 1.5% more brain. If a person only learns how to use 1 to 1.5% more brain than they normally use, then they become genius. And a lot of us, we don't even use it to the average scale, yes? Most of it is wasted. We don't even use it. You see, we still don't know the capacity of the human memory. 20, no, we don't know. These are all about, computers and everything. None of these, no, we still don't know the capacity of the human brain. Many of the scientists argue that the person in the past 1,000 years who's used the brain at the highest level was anyone? Guess?
Leonardo.
Einstein?
Avicenna, Ibn Sina. They say he probably used 10% of his brain, 10 to 11%. That's it. He was one of the biggest geniuses that the human history ever saw. No one, even in the Western world, in medicine, in philosophy, in logic, in all the different things that you can think of, he was a brain. He was a medical doctor at the age of only 18, one of the biggest doctors in his time. And then he went into philosophy and so many different things. Al-Qanun, many of his books are still taught in the Western world. His views, Avicenna, you can still do a PhD on him in America and in England, in Europe. They say he used 10 to 11% of his brain, but no one else. And that's why we believe in the infallible Imams, because they use the full capacity. We don't use our potential. Most of us are just we sometimes don't even use it to the average. And we waste a lot of our potential and our energies. In what is the most useless thing that we do? Sleeping. How many of anyone sleeps here more than 8 hours? Okay. Sleeping is one of the things that we waste a lot of our brain in. Next thing. What do you think? Eating. A lot of us eat so many times a day, and then our stomach and everything else, they're all just busy digesting and working on the stomach. It says, do not make your stomachs the graveyard of animals. Meaning implying do not eat so much meat. Try and use more vegetables and fruits and other things. Yes? Nevertheless, anyway, I don't want we should go into that so much. But remember, do not waste your abilities. We all have a lot of potential. Try and use your potential. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam says, he says that my followers, my Shias should be the best people. The best of the people in the world should be my Shias. There shouldn't be anyone better than them. It is a hadith, he says, if there is a town that has a population of 1 million people, our town has a population of how many people? 1 million. And the Imam al-Islam says, if there is only one person in that town of 1 million people that says, I'm a Shia, I'm a follower of Ahlul Bayt, the Imam al-Islam says, then he should be the best in that town. If there is anyone better than him, then he has no right to say, I'm a Shia of Imam Jafar Sadiq. He shouldn't call himself my Shia. What does that mean? What should that person be the best in? Should he be the most well dressed? Should he be the most nice looking? Should he be, or she? Yeah, pious, ilm, knowledge, the most knowledgeable, the most practicing. Not the wealthiest. No one go into the race of earning more money. Let's become the millionaire, and then the Imam will say, yes, I'm proud of him, he's the best millionaire. No. The most knowledgeable. The Imam says, if you are walking in the streets, then people should point and say, look at the Shia of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. These days they look at the Shia of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Don't the people say that? Many times? God forbid. Hazrat Muhammad ibn Muslim, I'll mention just a story of one companion or a student of Imam Baqir and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. His name was Muhammad ibn Muslim. What was his name? Muhammad ibn Muslim. Ibn means son. Muhammad the son of Muslim. He was from Kufa, from Iraq. He came to Medina to learn under Imam Baqir and Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. So he started studying, and he studied for many years. For more than 10 years, 15 years. He learned so much so that the sixth Imam started saying that he is one of the best students of my father. Had it not been for 4 people, and one of them was Muhammad ibn Muslim, then the ahadith of my forefathers would be destroyed. And you know how many ahadiths he had memorized? Anyone? 70,000 ahadiths. Do you know how many verses there are in the Holy Quran? Anyone?
6,600.
Okay, 6,666. 6,236 or 6,666. Because some people say this is 2 verses, some say no, this is 1 verse. For example, the same verse, some will count it, 2 stops, and some will say no, it's 1 stop. So that's why there's a difference. Some say 6,666, and some say 6,236 verses. Only 6,000 something hundred verses in the Holy Quran. And this person knew 70,000 ahadiths. More than about, 10 times the size of the Holy Quran. That's how learned he was. He had memorized more than 7. And the Imam used to be proud of him and said, this is ours, true Shia. He is a true follower of Hadith. The Imam used to respect him and stand up for him, and the Imam gave him his Abba, and he said, you can have my Abba. You have the right to wear my Abba because you memorized 70,000 Hadith. After he qualified, he went back to Kufa, Iraq. He started teaching everyone. And when he would speak from the mimbar, every day he would come, and the whole of Kufa would gather. We want to listen to this man. What's his name? Muhammad ibn Muslim. And he was the talk of the town. Everyone was talking about, who is he? He knows everything. He knows the Quran. He knows every topic of fiqh. He knows history. He knows everything. You name it and he knows it. So everyone started talking about it. And one day he came, and just before he went to the mimbar, he was sitting on the floor, waiting for the time for the, And everyone was talking about him, and he was hearing the people talk about him. And one person said, who is he? Where has he come from? Who has he learned under? And one person said, don't you know? He's a student of Jafar Sadiq, he's a Shia of Imam Jafar Sadiq. As soon as Muhammad ibn Muslim heard this, he started crying. And he cried, couldn't speak. So the person said, what did I say? Did you dislike what I said? He said, no, I'm fearful that on the day of judgment, my Maula may ask me, my Imam may ask me, people used to call you my Shia, people used to think that you are my Shia. Were you up to the standard of being called my Shia? I'm thinking, what will I answer to the Imam al-Islam? Do I really deserve to be called a Shia? I don't think I deserve to be called a Shia because the Imam himself was so good. I don't think I deserve it. These are the words of Hazrat Muhammad al-Muslim, who was the most learned person in Kufa and who was so close to the Imam al-Islam. So what is our responsibility? What is our duty? Try and gain knowledge. Try and learn as much as, so that Imam al-Islam says, yes, the best scientist was my Shia, the best person in IT, the best person in everything should be the Shia of the Imam al-Islam, the best person. Whatever you learn, try and become the best. Allama Hilli, have you heard of Allah? Anyone heard of Allama Hilli? He was a great Shia scholar about 700 years ago. And he became a mujtahid, an ayatullah at the age of only 9. Can you imagine? These days it takes about 30 years to become an ayatullah, and this person was at the age of 9, He was teaching and the people were much older than him. Najaf, have you seen the pictures of Najaf? There are a lot of pigeons in Najaf. So he was sitting down teaching everyone, and the people attending his lectures, they were much older than him because he was so learned. So he was sitting down teaching everyone, and then suddenly he saw, like the chick, the pigeon chicken, the chicks of the pigeon, they were playing next to him, so he quickly took off his amama and put it down so he can catch the pigeon. So the pigeon came in and he quickly caught it, and the whole class started laughing at him and started making fun. He said, why are you all laughing? He said, are you teaching or are you playing? He said, I can play because I'm not baligh yet. I'm still a child. I can play, you can't play because you're all older. And he was teaching them. That's how learned he was. His books are so important that even 700 years after his death, his books are still taught in the Hawala. And the greatest of the Ayatollah still refer to his books to understand Sharia and Fiqh. That's how learned he was. These are the kind of people that we need to have today. You're all intelligent, you're all gifted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have the intelligence. So what you need to do, you need to use your wisdom in some of the people in the household of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, about their history, about their Masahib, who had delivered the message. Imam Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had a daughter who was only 4. And a lot of the Masahib today we hear are from her. She mentioned the Masahib that she heard from her father and she saw from her father. She herself. She was only 4. She says that when my father was leaving the tents, he looked right and he looked left, and then he found no one to help him. And he started crying. And at that time, she says that I went out of the tent, and my father's horse was standing and he was trying to ride the horse. I quickly went and grabbed the legs of the horse, and my father, when he was trying to move the horse, he said to the horse, why aren't you moving? The horse doesn't speak, so he looked down. My father looked down to see who is here, and he saw me. He came off the horse and he embraced me and started crying. He said, go back to the tent and do not demand from your mother that you want to sleep on my chest tonight, because I will not come back. When he was saying those words, he started crying and screaming and said, Father, but why will you not come back? He said, because it is a promise that I made to sacrifice everything. She said, Father, I had two brothers who you've taken with you, Ali Akbar and Ali Asghar, both have gone with you, father. What have you got for me? And when he said this, Imam Hussein picked up some sand from the plains of Karbala and placed it in the head of Hazrat Sakina. When he placed it in the head of Hazrat Sakina, she started crying and said, Father, why did you do that? He said, because you have to remain as an orphan after me. You will see a lot of tough time after me. When the people of Kufa and Sham, they scream at you and they tell you off, and if they hit you, you will cry, but remember, do not ever do badwa, do not pray against the people, do not ever curse the people. Just remember that you have sacrificed everything for the sake of my grandfather, the Holy Prophet. He started crying and he embraced her and he said, O Sakina, you have the right to cry upon me the most. When he was saying these words, Hazrat Sakina was crying, and he said another sentence. He said, Sakina, do not demand from your mother Rabab to give me to you, because she was used to sleeping with her father, and said, Father, why are you leaving? Why will I not see you? He said, tonight you'll have to sleep outside of the tent. This is Hazrat Sakina Salamullah Alaiha, a very small girl. When she came to Damascus, she said to some of the people who were there, she said, O people of Damascus, when my father was leaving the tents, he said some poetry to me, and I learnt it. And she started telling the people the poetry. They said, what did he say? She said, he was telling me that, tell my Shias, O Sakina, tell my Shias, Shi'ati mahma sharibtum ma'adbin fadhkuruni, or sami'tum bigharibin or shahidin fandabuni. O my Shias, whenever you drink cold water, just remember the thirst of my father. Whenever you drink cold water, say, oh, I wish I was with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, first. And secondly, my father said, I wish you were all present in the plains of Karbala to see how I was being killed. I wish you could all see how I was asking for the water for my son Ali Asghar. I wish you could see how people were slapping my daughter Sakina. This is Imam Hussain alayhi salam. A small girl can narrate so much. Try and remember these words so you can tell your friends that we believe in Hussein. And these are the days when the tragedy of Karbala happened, and we lost Imam Hussain alayhi salam and his children. We lost people like Ali Asghar, we lost little children like Ali Asghar alayhi salam, who was only 6 months of age. We lost Ali Akbar, we lost Qasim ibn Hassan, who was only 13 and a half. We lost Hazrat Abbas, who was 34. We lost Imam Hussain alayhi salam. We lost so many people in Karbala. These are all holy and sacred people. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون رضا بقضائه وتسليما لأمره. Inshallah, from tomorrow I'll give you more signs. Inshallah, I'll tell you some of the people who we lost in the place of Karbala, so you can understand the tragedy and you can understand how tragic event Karbala itself is. Can we all recite dua for all the people around the world who are blessed? Oh Allah, protect all the mu'mineen that live around. Oh Allah, protect the mu'mineen of Bahrain. Oh Allah, protect the mu'mineen of Pakistan and Iraq. And oh Allah, help us visit the shrines of our Mahmud. And oh Allah, give us a shafa'at and intercession of Imam Hussain on the day of judgment and in our graves. Oh Allah, there are so many people who are unwell, just give them all health. There are so many people who have asked us to pray for their children. Oh Allah, we pray that the ones who do not have any children, give them children. And the ones who have children, may Allah protect the children. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم بحق محمد وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى